Why can a boat pin another boat? So you're sailing along here, yellow and blue. Blue is stuck, but why is blue stuck? So blue could get some separation and then tack away. But if yellow really has it in for blue, when blue turns away, yellow could also turn away. This doesn't usually happen in fleet racing, but it could stop blue from being able to tack behind yellow. The rule in the rule book that stops that is Rule 13, tacking. So as soon as you cross head to wind, you are the giveaway boat. You no longer have right of way and you have to avoid another boat. So blue has right of way up until this point, then they are tacking, and they also happen to become the port boat. So the tacking boat has to keep clear of the boat that isn't tacking. So yellow can avoid giving this leeward boat enough room to do their tack. And then on the port ley line here, if this boat does have room to complete their tack, now it's a starboard and port situation. I can code them with green and red for starboard and port. So red still has to avoid green after the tack. So this is really a power position for green, because red really has difficulty sailing their own race. So green can sail them past the ley line so that the angle works for them as they come into the mark. If green doesn't sail them far enough, red may get inside overlap as they come to the windward mark. I can draw this 3 boat length circle in approximately. So if green doesn't sail red past the ley line here, if green tacks here, red tacks, or maybe let's put them even further behind the 3 boat length circle. They tack, they come into the 3 boat length circle, and green is clean ahead. What's the situation here? Does green have room at the mark, and so they can just tack right ahead of red? It turns out that they can't, because the room that green gets from entering the circle first doesn't include room to tack. So there's a special case in a special rule book called the case book, case 15. I think it's page 87. I was looking at it recently. Case 15 says that even if there's no overlap, this green boat is pinned by the red boat, because as soon as green passes head to wind here, we have a situation between a tacking boat and a not tacking boat. So even though green is technically on starboard because they've passed head to wind here, they don't regain their rights until they're pointed at a close hauled course. Their sail doesn't have to be pulled in, but they'd have to be pointed on a close hauled course. And then, if they manage to just complete their tack a second before red hits them, they would still be at fault because of the acquiring right-of-way rule. So they went from being the giveaway boat because they're tacking to suddenly having right-of-way, and a second after having right-of-way, they fouled red by not initially giving red enough time to keep clear. Red doesn't have to anticipate that this boat is going to become the right-of-way boat. So that's a good segue, a good transition into pinning the boat on the starboard ley line. So if these boats are coming up, let's stay outside of the 3 boat length circle to keep things simple. So they're coming up to the ley line here. Green will often try to tack, but if red holds course and they hit each other either, just like we were talking about inside the three-wheeling circle over here, if they hit each other before green is on close hauled or just after green is on close hauled, then red can hail protest. But the situation in real life is that if green completes their tack, at this moment, red has to either take their chances in a protest or try to win the race. So if they now hit and red says, so green tacks, red heads up, they hit each other, red says protest, maybe green rolls red, steals red's wind, and red has to try to win in the protest room, which is always, as the saying goes, a 50-50 chance. So what red often does in this situation, as soon as they see that green is tacking, they tack with green so that they're definitely leading into the mark. So this sets up sort of a tension between how the rule is supposed to happen. Green tacks and then initially allows red to keep clear, and so while red's tacking, green passes red. And practically what racers do, if the windward boat sees the leeward boat tacking, they might as well tack with them so that they're now lee-bowing the leeward boat here. So sometimes the boat that's technically pinned here, if there's enough space to almost tack, they can throw in a really quick tack and risk fouling red, but often red will just tack with them to keep their options open. So that makes it quite complicated as to whether you want to try your luck in the protest room or whether you want to tack with them and lee-bow them. Usually the answer is, are you over or under the ley line? If green tries to do this speed tack here, it's not really a good idea for red to tack with them because now green is in the power position and can sail red away from the course. So it's better if green throws in a quick tack here, it's better for red to say protest and duck them, so they keep their ability to keep racing their race, and green has to do a penalty. Maybe you have to do a protest in the after you get to shore. But if you're over the ley line and you've only just red has only just pinned green, and green goes for the quick slam tack, better than risking rules things. You just tack with them and lead your way into the green mark. So if you want to be totally sure that you have someone pinned, you actually have to stay pretty close to them so that they can't even think of tacking in a laser. It may be different in more expensive, big, heavy boats that are going to damage each other, where people are a little more cautious. So now let's take the position of green. So you have to decide whether you can do a slam tack with enough time that red is able to avoid you by ducking or tacking. But if red really has you like this, you can either keep sailing and wait for red to tack, or another option that you can do is you just start sailing slower and slower until you're head to wind. Because you have right of way until you tack. As soon as you've crossed head to wind, you've lost your rights and you have to avoid red. But the second before you're head to wind, you still have right of way. And if this is a real race, this isn't like a one-on-one. In a real race, you know, there's other boats that you have to be thinking about. You know, these boats are going to have their own situation at the mark. Now, if green starts luffing up into the wind, red can either wait there and say, I have you pinned, which is true, while these boats go off and win the race. Or red can say, this isn't worth sailing this slowly, and turn this heading up too close to the wind into attack. And then, you know, maybe blue has trouble rounding this mark. Suddenly, that was a much better decision for red. So you can encourage a windward boat to stop pinning you by luffing them up into the wind. Or if you don't think they really have it in for you, you can bear off, tack, and duck. But usually, if you're over the ley line, this boat will just tack with you and stay ahead of you.